but.
Oh, I didn't know you were, but.
Yeah, it doesn't. Okay. Okay, let's do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda is to announce, well, call a meeting to order, and then announce an executive session on December 9th regarding personnel. That was at 11 a.m. Next is to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from November 18, 2019 as submitted.
I will second that.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And next we have the police report, and we don't have.
And yes, our officers are a little under the weather tonight. So I will take care of that for them. The 2019 November monthly report is presented. A few items to note: the numbers of calls for service was 173. Number of crimes investigated was 9. 2 arrests. Number of traffic stops 57. Number of accidents was 7, and there was no training conducted in November for the police department.
Okay, great. You're up next again.
Okay, very good. The Phoenixville Regional Planning Committee met on December 11th. I'm happy to report Chester County approved the Vision Partnership Program Grant Award to allow for the incorporation of West Pikeland Township into the comprehensive plan. So that process will likely proceed in January and the next in 2020. The Township Emergency Management staff conducted the Limerick Nuclear Operating Drill, and that was November 19th. The FEMA did the review this year. It is biannual, so FEMA will review in 2 years, but we had a good review from FEMA on that event. The Township's fall intern, Maria Morezzi, completed her internship, hard to believe. That was December 3rd. She completed her finals week this week, I understand it. She had a really, she had a good time, well, this is what she said, looking through all of our subdivision plans and learning about how the old plans of the township, how things worked out. And she did a really good job for us in getting things organized as far as maps and the scanning project we have going on. So she helped us progress with that, and she also learned a lot more about township planning. So that was a good project. The township is seeking volunteers for a number of committee openings in 2020. We have the township volunteer application on our website. Please feel free to use that and contact us about the opportunities available. With upcoming holidays, Christmas Eve and Christmas on Tuesday, December 24th, and Wednesday, December 25th, the township office will be closed. Again, for New Year's Day, January 1st. The township reorganization and regular meeting will be held on Monday, January 6th, 2020. And we'll have the auditors meeting on Tuesday, January 7th at 7 p.m. at the township building here. As far as department reports, we had 29 permit applications processed in the month of November. Wawa had its grand opening November 14th, so we've had operation of the Wawa for a little over a month now. In the finance department, we have our year-to-date actual October reports complete, posted. We will be working through November, and our board of supervisors will be reviewing the budget for adoption later this evening. And the 2019 audit process will begin in January. In the public works department, in addition to regular road maintenance, the crew completed the installation of the water service for the community garden. So in the spring of 2020, we'll have that water service operational. Staff met with Bird Construction to conduct the final inspection of paving and drainage improvements. And we also, we have our 2 speed limit reduction projects completed per PennDOT and their approval on 401 between Chester Springs Road and Fairview Road. That's 40 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour, and then same thing on St. Matthews Road. So we have those 2 projects completed. the Bryn demolition pre-construction meeting, which I thought was interesting, pre-construction for the taking down the buildings. Right? George should mention that, which was very interesting.
Pre-construction.
Yes, we had that with Reclaim on December 10th, reporting that that meeting went very well. They seemed very organized and have a good schedule to begin the project, which we're looking to do that January 6th. And they're going to do that through spring of 2020. We will have a hard perimeter fence around the construction site, but we will continue to have the public park open through the duration of the project. They are completely fine with that.
Are they going to run the fence near the ones we put up?
Yes, we have, there's a plan for their NPDES permit that they have to follow.
Good.
Did they give you a sense how far into the spring it's going to take them?
They will go through the end of May, and that's because with the project taking down the buildings, they're allowing time for stabilization of the soil and seed and growth that is going to be needed.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, next we have the bills list.
I make a motion to approve the bills list dated December 16, 2019, in the amount of $122,852.91.
Second.
Okay, just so everybody knows, the township bills was $91,045.71. Reimbursables were $29,762.78, and capital road bills was $1,413.56. And liquid fuels, $630.86, and to a total of $122,852.91. Okay. Any comments, questions about bills? Yes, sir.
The email I got from Brian says that some of these need to be confirmed instead of approved, or some, what did you
Oh,
say,
okay.
Brian?
All right, hold on.
Ratified. Could you
Ratified.
explain that, and how can I tell by looking at this which are which?
Do you have the list of ratified? Did they get that?
We have all the bills, whether they're ratified or, approved tonight, are on the list. This front sheet, I don't believe, no, that's not on the.
They don't have that?
No.
Well, there's probably about 18 to 20 that were ratified.
How
There-
much does that total?
I'm sorry.
Oh, geez, I don't know if it's.
It is
Oh, yeah, it
actually,
is,
yes.
$20,656.49.
Yes.
And that's probably due to only having one meeting.
Yes, and they are expenses like, let's see, payroll, utilities, that sort of thing.
Now, I guess, well, I guess we'll discuss that later. We haven't discussed that yet, okay. So, Brian, yes.
Thanks for the heads up, Brian.
On the ratified issue in the future, can you go and add that as a sheet too?
Sure, I have no issue with that.
Yes.
Sounds like a good thing.
Yeah.
Just a short one. One thing I noticed going through here is there's a bill for Melanie Battis, and I asked Erica about it, and we have a new female police officer.
For about 6 months, right?
Yes.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the first time I noticed, I think this is a good thing.
Okay, any other questions?
Just as far as accounts, so all the things related to the demo, like
Yes.
there's the guy cutting the power, there's a bill for cutting the power, and then there was another one, I forgot. Do we keep those going separately? Those are part of the maintenance fund?
They're not part of the open space demolition maintenance fund we have set aside.
Okay, that's what I was
So,
wondering.
yeah, those expenses, we have been expensing that to the Bryn improvement line item in the general fund right now.
Okay, and I guess the historic survey too?
Yes.
Okay.
That was planned to come out of EAC a year ago or something.
And it has. Mhm.
Okay, any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the treasurer's report.
Okay, thank you very much. For the month of October, we have presented the information regarding our revenue collection and our expenses for the year. We are on track with a lot of the planned projects we have here. You'll note that The collections are doing well. The expenses that we have, in terms of, I think, some larger expenses, we have our road program that has begun implementation. So as far as the liquid fuels fund, in the October report, that is reflected. That entire allocation has been used. The next report in November and for December will reflect the Berg construction invoices of about $400,000.
Okay.
So you'll note that for both, for those more major projects. We received our, let's see here, we're still on track with open space revenues and complete on liquid fuels. And sewer is continuing with Ports of Chester Spring. We're still working through the dedication on that. On the next, or the third page, we have the balance of all of our funds. The total is $11,165,213.15. So you can go through an overview of each fund. We're still on track with our fund balance and policy we have regarding all of our funds. And the last page, this is the page where it really shows the budget to actual summary by fund and how well we're performing to budget. So you'll note for year-to-date revenue with our budgeted amount, we're on target. With our expenditures, we're still a bit behind, but really if we look at that amount, the Bryn Co-ed improvements and Fellowship Trail, those are two cost-saving things will be going into the year-end that's going to carry forward to 2020 and reflect in the 2020 budget. Capital fund, we have an outlay here for engineering. As I said, we'll have expenditures the next 2 months on those the paving projects. Open space, this reflects our debt service and will carry forward the funding that we've received in our EIT collection for next year. Liquid fuels is reflected here in using our expenditures in the road program, and we still have a little bit for signal service for traffic lights, and then same thing with sewer. Sewer, this is operating for a full year. We're still working towards getting the sewer plant hopefully dedicated over to Bucks County within a 6-month period. Let's aim for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. I guess announcements, we are still looking for volunteer positions.
Yes, I mentioned that in my manager's report, we just want to make that very clear. If you know of anybody that would be interested, good for a position, Parks and Recreation, Planning Commission, we'd love to review that.
We have a letter from Megan Lynch, new manager of Henrietta Hankin Library.
Yes, this is an introductory letter as the new manager, and she wanted to introduce herself via a letter here. And that's it.
Okay, number 6, we have a thank you letter from the Ludwig's Fire Company to the West Vincent Police Department for participation in the annual fire prevention open house. And next is subdivision and development. We have resolution number 19-2019, final plan approval for land development, Scott Risbin, 670 Bertram.
I make a motion to approve the resolution number 19-2019, the final plan approval for land development, Scott Risbin, 670 Birchwood Road.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next we have 2969 Horseshoe Trail, request for subdivision extension.
Yep. I make a motion to approve the subdivision extension request for Patricia, forgive me, this, Morgera, 2969 Horseshoe Trail until March 17 of 2020.
Second.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the authorization of our 2020 budget.
I make a motion to authorize the adoption of the 2020 township budget as presented.
Second.
Is this on the website?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, under new business, we have resolution number 20-2019, establishing the real estate tax rate for the calendar year 2020.
I make a motion to approve the resolution number 20-2019, establishing the real estate tax rate for the calendar year 2020.
Second.
Any comments, questions? Yes, Brian?
Did it change up or down?
It's same.
Same.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, next we have.
We have to vote.
Oh, you didn't vote? Oh, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, next on the list is the review estimate for backhoe repair. Looks like we need an axle, rear axle assembly.
Correct. Oh, you didn't have a motion, I'm sorry. Okay. You were reviewing the information here this afternoon. We have an issue with the backhoe. We've reviewed options here it's the 2000 case backhoe. Options to do a rebuild versus replace of components in the backhoe itself. We have Roth, and we also have Eagle Power Equipment, who advised us that, and we do have a quote for that comparison, but that the replacement is a better option, considering if they go in, they find some issues with the parts, it's really probably not the best value for the township. As far as moving forward, we do have here with the two quotes, I wanted to indicate on Roth, the top quote is actually deducting the $600 for the inspection and estimate and the mileage per discussions with that vendor. So that brings it to $13,390.40. The second quote from Eagle Power is $14,265. Reggie Roy is here this evening. If there's any questions regarding the needs for
So wait,
this
I didn't get that second. Why am I confused there?
I only see the first one too.
Okay, so we have
I will
GT and E, option 1, and we have option 2. So option 1 is the, let's see, I think this is a new one,
Yes, correct.
and option 2 would
Oh, wait, no,
be,
Did
Eagle
you
is
get-
here. Did you
I'm
get this
sorry.
one? It's not, Eagle is here.
Yes.
okay, there's the-
Okay.
okay. Okay, so there looks like there's about a $4,000 difference between new and whatever you call it.
Yeah, it's about
reclaim.
3 actually, taking
3?
off, yeah, it's
Okay.
3.
Okay. Well, actually, the part's a lot cheaper, but the labor is more for, which makes sense. Because they'd actually take our axle and fix that and give it back to us?
With certain components, elements, correct, Reggie?
Wouldn't be everything, though. If you do a reconditioned one, everything's redone.
I know, but do they just give us a reconditioned one and just take our old
Yes.
one? Okay. I just noticed the labor part is only 900 some bucks if you get a new one. And
Right.
it's 3,300 if you,
Because it's a rebuild.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a lot of labor and split.
yeah,
So really-
definitely, yeah.
Okay, so, and it makes sense to get a new one, this 2007 backhoe's in good shape otherwise?
Yes.
Okay.
Reggie, does that seem right? I mean, there's 4,176 hours on a 2007, 12 years, and that's a lot, seems like it's a lot of work.
That's not a lot of hours, really, for
No?
the year, not really.
Okay.
A lot of miles, though.
What's that?
It has a lot of miles for the hours, that's the difference.
Okay.
Because it's driven around instead of
It's-
tractor?
Well,
Trailer?
kind of what you have to do in the township. You know, you drive everywhere, everything you do, you drive from point A to B, so.
We
Yeah,
didn't-
right, it's only 10 hours a week, right?
We didn't buy that trailer.
No. Right. That is correct. Any other questions? Yes, Brian?
So,
Question about the rebuilds, in a different environment, different equipment. One of the things that you ran into with, factory rebuilds was that they were very fast about getting in, getting out, getting done, not taking particular attention to it. And whoever's providing the rebuilds, is it coming from the same place with both of the proposals? And do you have any experience with getting, the rebuilds? Are they in good condition when you get them back?
They have to be done to the case's specs, so, and they're warranted for 2 years. I believe it's a 2-year warranty.
What's the warranty on a new one?
I don't know. I don't know if you get a brand new one.
What's that?
You'd have a hard time finding a brand new one.
Oh, wait a minute, so wait.
This is a recondition.
This is whether they rebuild it as part of the job, or they buy an already rebuilt one. That's the
Well,
difference.
so why wouldn't we just go with, if they're going to both be the exact same?
They're not, because their unit will have everything in it, will either be replaced or at a certain spec. If it's one little bit, it goes. Yours,
Right.
all you're replacing is just the center section.
Oh, okay,
And
okay,
then-
so it's not.
Then you have a whole lot more going on between there and the outside.
Right, okay,
It's really good value. I
okay.
personally wouldn't rebuild the existing, because there's too many other things, that once they open it up, they find things are worn,
And then you end up the same.
and you could
way.
have $20,000 in it. But
Okay.
this way, it's a one shot, it's quick, and you know what you get.
Okay,
Are the rebuilds done by case?
I believe, I can't say, I really don't know,
Okay.
but they have to warranty them, so, you know.
Okay, case is warranting, so
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
they're standing behind it then. Okay. I was talking to you before the meeting a little bit, and you mentioned that we drive a backhoe, where many people using a backhoe, get it in place and then backhoe with it a lot. Does that mean that the manufacturers tend to put more money and effort and resources into the backhoe part of a backhoe than the moving it around part? And if that is the case, are there any backhoe manufacturers that have a better balance that way for our type of
I would
application?
say so. This is just an odd to drive it as much. It's just different. It's what you have to do here. You don't have a choice.
Okay, I understand, I'm just trying to find out, is there any other manufacturer would be any better if we have to go and get, or we're going to get a new one in the future? Okay.
I got a question then, 4,100, is that what it was? It's at 4,100 hours, right? How many miles?
There's no
Oh,
dominant.
there's not.
Predominantly, that machine would run 8,000 hours wouldn't be, you still wouldn't have a lot of trouble normally.
Okay. Do you know if there's a big difference, because this is a rear axle, do you know if by driving it like we do, is wearing down the axle a lot more than if it was trailered?
Oh, definitely.
Well, how much? I mean, how much does a trailer cost, and then how
But
much?
you still wouldn't trailer it most of the time, because you're going over here doing a little
Okay.
project, you're driving.
So-
You need another guy to drive it.
Right, I know.
So even if you had a trailer, you probably wouldn't move a backhoe very often.
Okay.
Because by the time you loaded and unloaded it, you'd be driven there.
Right, okay.
And there's things you're doing in between. We're not just going from point A to B for a day. We hop around constantly doing odd things everywhere.
Okay.
So it's just part of the
The way we do things
Yeah,
and
it's
the way
just
we should be
something
doing
good.
things, okay, that's
It's the
great.
nature of our service, working in townships. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions? All those in favor? Oh, we didn't have a motion. You want to do
I make a motion that we purchase the original equipment manufacturer, rear casing in the amount of $13,390.40.
Yeah, we had to subtract out
Yeah,
some of
I
the
had
stuff
to
we already
deduct
paid.
it.
Oh, okay.
Whatever it was.
All right, and I'll second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have the Bridge Co-ed demolition project change order number 1.
I make a motion to authorize the Reclaim Company LLC change order in the amount of $1,670.
I'll second.
Okay, this is, I think this was in your management report?
Yes,
The asbestos?
yes, we had, there was an asbestos inspection done on the main cow house and buildings, but not the 2 houses on St. Matthews Road. So the contractors request to have that done and sample for asbestos, so they can have that information to do the demo.
So will we be getting another change order if they have asbestos in the houses?
We'll see what they're going to change the scope of their remediation.
Right,
If there's
okay.
not, that's good. If there is, they'll have to come forward with
Okay.
something.
I know, we can't do too much.
Make a motion, or,
Yes, is that what we are, any questions? Yes, Brian?
You mentioned asbestos, how about lead too?
They didn't ask?
Yeah. lead paint abatement
Because
would
how
be an
old are
issue.
they, when were those homes built?
What, 60s?
Yeah, yeah.
Somewhere in there, I guess.
Probably, you know, they
Hard
probably do have some
that way.
lead paint in them.
Yeah, Okay, you always have me thinking, Brian, thank you.
Any other,
Unfortunately, in this case, it may get more expensive.
yes.
Uh,
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to the authorization of advertisement of the meeting schedule for 2020.
I make a motion to authorize the advertisement of the 2020 township meeting schedule.
Second.
Sarah?
Is this completely ready to go? The sustainability was considering whether being on the third Tuesday, which often follows a third Monday, that you move the meeting to their date if they were gonna look at a different date. But this is all set
It's
for
established that
January.
there's no change for the Sustainability Committee,
Right.
2 dates, because the January meeting, there is a holiday, so the board meeting is gonna be held on the third Tuesday, and then same thing with February, so that is an occurrence. We can accommodate 2 meetings in the building, though, we can do that. It's just that we have not actually, did you hear from anybody from Sustainability? So, that is still the third
I think we
Tuesday.
should
We
talk
start
about
at
it.
7:30 and we'll be out here at 7:30, so.
That's right.
I
like the way
I
he
won't be
thinks.
here for that meeting
Yeah.
anyway. Erica, what did you decide to do about the PSAT date in May?
This schedule contemplates having 1 board meeting a month. So this would be the
Okay.
3rd Monday.
On the third Monday.
So then the May dates in the beginning of May would be fine.
Oh, do they know
If-
that? I mean, we have,
No, we were gonna go through that. I
Oh,
was gonna-
okay, okay.
Yeah, I
But
was gonna
if-
actually.
okay, well, let's go through it,
But-
and then
but
questions.
Since we're at that point, if you did it on the first Monday, it wouldn't bump up against sustainability.
Didn't we do this?
I thought we did something with sustainability last year, no?
We did not
No.
move
We
sustainability.
talked
You
about
moved.
it.
The meeting happened at 7:30 after or during.
Oh, wait a minute, this is, okay, sustainability is the third Tuesday, not Monday.
Right, but.
So, well, I know, it will happen once in a while, but not
Yeah.
very much, so,
Like
yeah, it's not a
January,
big issue.
February.
Like
Okay.
3 times in the year,
Yeah, it's not too bad.
January,
Okay.
February.
something in the fall.
Anybody else have any? Brian?
In addition to that, at the end of the year, we bumped into problems with open space review with the holidays that bounce in both November and December. Have we looked back in the years, last couple of years, to go and look at which ones changed and then potentially incorporated that in what we're going to advertise for next year?
I considered it, but here's the problem. The committee members also would like to provide input on their own schedules, because a Wednesday might be better for that week, or a Thursday may be better, and it has been different, so we try to accommodate. It can be tough.
To get
So-
everybody to agree
Oh,
on the date,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so in other words, we
consider
just know
that.
that the end of the year is going to be a bit
You have
ugly with
to-
bouncing.
And
Okay.
elections always a
Yeah.
problem for
True.
the BOS, so.
Okay, thank you.
So,
But it shouldn't be with a second meeting.
No,
Or I'm sorry,
third.
second meeting of third.
Right,
Monday.
it's only the first one that we had problems with.
Right.
Okay, good.
I misunderstood that it's the first meeting that you had problems with. What was that?
We did have problems in the first meeting of the month with the election
Yeah, so
and different dates.
election,
It won't be a problem now because we're on the third Monday. So we're
Yeah.
going to one Monday, one meeting a month.
so that won't, so you won't have a conflict with the general election.
Right.
Or the
Oh,
primary?
Or the
yeah.
primary.
The primaries move.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll go that
Yeah.
late to the third
Yeah,
Monday.
the
though.
primaries move around.
And Sarah, I have to mention that you're missing your last opportunity to use the mic.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to use that one in a minute. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, next we have the authorization of the bonus payments for township management staff for 2019.
I make a motion to authorize the township's management staff bonus payments for 2019 to include township manager, $2,000, township secretary, $1,500, township treasurer, $2,500, township building inspector, $1,000.
Second.
Any questions? Yes, Brian?
Was the requirements for getting a bonus published somewhere earlier in the year?
No. It's
Okay.
basically going above and beyond in their job performance.
Do we have some criteria in there that they meet or something like that?
No, it's more of a,
We've discussed this, and it's very difficult. I mean, that can be subjective. So when somebody performs above and beyond, I mean, it should be recognized, and that's basically what, a bonus is about.
Okay, but I understand what you're doing, but I also know that in businesses, they frequently have a thing of, you do this, and this, you get a bonus. And I was wondering whether we did the same thing, if it's at the end of the year that you guys recognize that they've done a good job. And I'm not gonna go and complain about the job done by the staff. As I mentioned frequently up here, I'm very favorably impressed by it. So I just was curious about the basis. Got it, thank
well,
you.
there is some basis, because like when I do my annual review for
Certainly.
you, I put down some things I'd like to see happen that year. And then she probably does that with the other staff members. And I know, that, the treasurer did a lot this year, above and beyond what she was required to do, let's say. So, I mean, and she sees more of it than I would ever see.
Okay, basically, I was curious about the process, I'm not critiquing or.
Right, I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have public comment on non-agenda items.
Mike?
Wait.
If I'm recognized by the chair.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
That was his last chance to shout, Mike. That's what. Okay. I have a question about what you estimate the cost of the arbitration of the police contract to be.
That's a good question. Do we have any idea?
Could be 20,000.
Okay. Somewhere around there, I guess.
I would like to ask you to postpone arbitration to take another chance to sit down and talk with the police association before you go to arbitration.
We actually did that. Well, I guess.
You want to be careful.
Oh, yes.
Um,
You have talked.
Pardon me?
I don't have that.
We're kind of hamstrung.
We're
We
working
really
through
can't-
the
We can't
contract
talk about this
negotiations.
publicly.
You can't.
No.
Let's.
Would you please consider extending the arbitration date into the future? You
Okay.
may have to go talk about it privately, but Mike, you're the person who doesn't want to pay $500 for something. Here, it's going to cost the police
I realize
half
that.
of that, $10,000 to
It's-
arbitrate. It's going to cost the township $20,000 to arbitrate.
And it'll cost the police 20,000 too, yes.
Well, actually, it costs them about a half for the lawyer because they have one lawyer and the township pays for two of them. So
Not on this issue, not really.
the police believe that they do. They believe you have a lawyer, they have a lawyer, and there's a mediator.
Oh, the mediator, but I think that's split,
That'll
right?
be through the arbitration
The
process.
arbitration process, yes, that would be a
Right,
split
so-
cost. So we're all equal.
Yeah,
And,
yes,
okay, just so
but-
you understand, there's been many discussions trying to avoid arbitration.
When was the last time you met with the union?
Geez, that was a summer.
October.
Was it October?
Well, I guess I'm asking you to sit down with them in a meeting that is not arbitration before you go to arbitration.
I guess, let's see what I can say here. We have discussed things, and...
With yourselves?
No. The two lawyers, the police attorney and our attorney, have been working on trying to get this settled before we go to arbitration. Very recently. And there's no agreement. That's about what I can say.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been in direct conversation
I have
with
not.
the president of the police association?
I have not. We have in the past, like October, I guess was the last time, and that was it. And we were not in agreement, let's put it that way. And that's why we have to go to arbitration.
So the memo that you guys put out about a year ago that's up on the website said it was about $750 per officer or something.
Yes, somewhere around there, yes.
All right, so that comes up to under $10,000 in disputed costs.
Agreed.
And you're willing to put
Absolutely.
$20,000
I'd pay 50.
in legal. You pay 50.
100. I mean, it doesn't matter. What you can't do is you cannot have a class, the police or anybody, greater than the class that's paying for it, which are the residents. The residents are, on average, the nationwide average is 18% that employees pay towards their health care. The police standing on this one issue of paying 3%, it's just not right. Sorry, I mean, it's not right for the township, it's not right for other townships, it's not right for the country to allow that to continue. They need to be treated equal, and we're not even asking for equal.
No,
We're
we're
far
not
below,
gonna-
we're at zero because we offered them to pay 3% towards their health care. We're gonna pay them an extra rate increase to pay that 3%. So, to me, it's unfair that they are not agreeing to this.
Well-
Not us, because we're being very fair about it. And we're being fair about all the other things that were on the table at the time.
Can you reopen what was on the table at the time?
I mean, it's always been on the table. There's one issue at stake here,
Healthcare.
healthcare, and they're willing to go to arbitration, so there's nothing we can do about it. Except for give in, which I don't think would be a smart move. You know, I mean.
And is spending $20,000 in legal fees a smart move?
Well, I can't help that part, can I? You can't just give in to situations like this forever.
You need to think about the long-term
You gotta think
interest,
about long
not-
term, right. George is right.
My last chance at the microphone. The time that Kit Trogger came in and talked about it, she asked if there was a cap on successive years on the contract. And you at one point said yes, and then you said no, Mike, and you said there had been, but there isn't.
A
So
cap.
I thought that that
Maybe
was,
that we might charge them, let's say, 4% in another year.
Well, it won't be another year, it would be after the next contract, sure, we might ask for 6%.
so is there a cap for this contract as you proposed it back
3%.
in October
3%,
for the duration of the contract?
correct. Yep,
Are you sure they understand that?
yes, well, hope so, please.
They need to
It's
do
in
it.
writing.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
My second question has to do with volunteer applications. Ray, there in the corner, submitted his through the website. It seems to have gone into one of the black holes in cyberspace. Could you just raise your hand and say, I volunteer? Okay, so to make sure he's on the list, I just,
Do you know we didn't get it?
she's looked for it.
Yeah, it was in a field where you would put your name and insert it actually into blocks in the system, and it wasn't working well. So we removed it, we
Okay.
just put the PDF of the application.
Okay, all right.
So we fixed that, but we will make.
A note.
Do I have to do it again?
No,
Oh.
That's what I just,
actually though, Ray,
just wanted to make you official, Ray.
If you could send an email,
if you
that'd
could
be great.
send, yeah, if you could send us just, a little, something with your interest, resume if you have, or letter of interest is fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other, yes?
Yeah, Jim Berge. I just wanted to review the status of Janet Lane. It was supposed to be a priority this year. I think it was budgeted for this year, and not much has happened, so.
Yeah.
I don't know what the status is and what the plans are for the next year to actually make something happen.
It's government. So where do we stand?
We were tasked with looking at potential for drainage improvements that would not include complete paving of Janie Lane. We received some of the residents, feedback from some of the residents at the top of the hill of Janie Lane. And we were trying to take that into account, meeting with the Conservation District, the Pennsylvania Center for Dirt and Gravel Road Studies, and look at, is there any potential technology we're not aware of, take another look. Essentially, the cost for any stone, even if we compact it, is still gonna be a terrible, expensive maintenance issue, okay? So the maintenance is still a primary concern. The money is budgeted, the design, we're getting very close to what I think the board is comfortable with in moving forward with that project. PICO is cooperative now and has provided confirmation that they'll be removing power poles, utility poles, and relocating them to a better location so we can have this work done next year. So it is on track. We were just getting some feedback that we needed to do our due diligence on that as well and explore those avenues, and we have. So with that said, we will be moving forward, that is for certain.
Yeah, what about the state and the crossover of 401, on Jenny Lane rather?
You mean Birch Run?
Birch Run.
Yeah.
In completing the first phase of work, that whole situation, the cross at Birch Run, is really a second phase, because it's going to impact what happens there and really determine what design and what needs to be done once the conveyance of the water is altered by the improvements that are made. And that is our hope and intent, that we're designing something that is going to meet the condition, the really primary condition of the water rushing down the road, making that terrible roadside condition into Birch Run there, and then control that as a first step and evaluate that intersection going into the rest of
How much
Jane Lane.
engineering has been done today? I mean, is there?
None on that section.
So there's nothing close, really?
For the bottom, for
Yeah.
Birch Run?
For the
No,
bottom.
Not for the bottom.
because if we do a good job on the top part, there'll be
Right.
less that we'd have to do down there.
It should mitigate that whole
And then
situation.
after the top part's done, then we look at the
But it's still
bottom.
gonna be a lot of water coming down the hill. There's no doubt.
Well, no, with the design,
It
it's
should
gonna
help,
be,
it should help
it's
disperse
gonna be falling
the
over
water.
into the woods.
Yeah.
It's
gonna
coming down,
disperse it
it's gonna
instead of
disperse, it
funnel.
won't be hitting the road down the bottom. I mean, that's the idea.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Well, there's also a lot of washover from that road already down the hill
Yes.
into where Mr. Hall's property is.
Yes.
That's also a problem, too, so just to.
Yes.
Now, that's gonna take longer when we get down to Birch Run, because that's a state road, right? So, yeah, it's gonna take even longer to deal with, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's
Anything
bigger
we do?
government than this one.
It's called representatives.
It was Mr. Hall's property that brought me back up to the microphone, because you're talking about putting it off over the hillside. That is an approved subdivision building lot that you're talking about pouring water down on. So I think that when Brian Kulikowski presented the off-flow, when he presented, a slideshow on that, I said, please look at the impact of that water going across the land down to Birch Run Road. In part because the flooding issues on Davis Lane are the water that comes off of that Mr. Hall's property, the property above, and the Calhoun's, above Birch Run Road on the Janie Lane hillside. And that's a lot of water pouring down there.
Yeah.
What you're gonna do is move the water from closer to Janie Lane, where it goes right into the Rock Run, and have it come down another quarter mile to go into the Rock Run. You're not really solving.
It'll be covering a wider area though.
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah, it'll
of
be
being funneled to a
dispersed.
point, it'll be spread.
So it should absorb before it gets down that far, I would think. I mean,
So-
hopefully they're looking at
So
that.
that was why I asked if the engineer could do a stormwater analysis of that. So have you guys seen it, and that's why you're
No.
so sure it's gonna
I haven't seen that.
not be
Yeah, that's
more
not-
significant impact?
Yeah,
Okay,
we're not there yet.
Yeah.
okay. So we are expecting to incur more engineering fees on that
More
road.
likely.
Thank you.
What happens when you've got all those hills?
I remember the discussion by Brian Kay on that particular issue, and what he was saying is, when you talk about water going down a hillside, you're talking about sheet flow on the hillside. Basically, what he's talking about doing is gathering up the sheet flow on one side of the road, put it underneath the road in a concentrated manner, and then reestablish or take efforts to reestablish sheet flow on the other side of the road, so you don't have it concentrated, you know, in one particular area.
Was he gonna send it towards me or towards Jim?
Well, actually, it's gonna be, they're drilling holes, aren't they? I thought there was something about,
What they're trying to do is make the water flow the same way it would have if the road wasn't there.
Trying
That's
to
the
maintain
goal.
sheet flow.
right.
Yeah, they're trying to maintain the water that would have flowed, that comes across and would have continued across the hill, but instead now it gets diverted straight down the road. That's the goal for all this, that's what the reason for the pipes across the road in that direction is.
Managing the water.
And that's also why there should be less water down at the lower part of the road,
Yes.
once the water at the upper part of the road is diverted across the road, as opposed to going down the road as it does
Oh,
now.
yes. Okay. Sorry about that. He got in there. He just, I didn't even call him. You're up.
Ray Wanger, 2130 Conestoga Road. We spoke about earlier the speed limit between Chester Springs and St. Matthews. Has there any thought being given to lowering the speed limit on 401 going out the other way?
No.
The reason I'm asking is that's kind of right across from me where I live. We're starting to see more accidents there, and actually down at the end of the township, down around the curve,
Yeah.
down about 2020, I guess is the address there.
Okay.
There's one there tonight. We had another one there earlier this week, coming the
The
other
curve is
way.
banked the wrong way too, the road is
Oh, are we
banked,
talking about west of 100?
east.
East.
Oh,
East
we-
of here.
Right
East,
away.
where, you know where the curve goes, and it's a reverse bank, so you're going around it. People keep going off the,
Well, that's the way it used to be in, my place is right across from the amusement park.
Exactly.
And not only is that an attractive nuisance, people look at it and go off it,
Right.
but the road does bank that way. Not only that, but down the corner it banks the wrong way too. That's, has been improved, I guess the state did it. It used to be, in the winter, it would snow, rain, we put a pot of coffee on it, put somebody really, seriously, off the bank. We seem to be getting that again with the influx of traffic, and that's what I'm asking about the speed limit
Yeah.
restricted, because it seems to be we're kind of counting them up down there now.
What is the speed limit there?
That is 40,
Is it?
45, yeah.
oh, 45 to 40, right.
And part of that is because going this way, when we get out of the curves, we see a little straightaway, we like to gun it a little bit, and then we hit the curve down at 2020. Coming the other way again, we like to look around and say, ooh, what's that? And off the side of the road, you know, when we're going too fast. But
Is there any signage there for curb coming up, that type of stuff?
I'll talk to the chief, and District 6 has been very responsive so far to the township with
well,
some
I
of
know
these
they have a
traffic
hard time.
concerns.
There's no place really there for them. They can sit in my driveway anytime.
Okay.
There's
No,
no other.
I know they appreciate it because the site
Yeah.
distance issues are very difficult in that
Yeah.
stretch.
There's no
so.
other real
yeah.
place for them to sit. And carriage lane, they could, I guess, but
it's
it's,
hide
yeah.
in
Yeah.
the amusement park, right by the
There you
bank.
Yeah, beyond that. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That was all.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other comments? Yes.
Davy Waters, 2434 Mailhorn. In the bills list, there were lots of bills for the community garden. The tank is gone. Did we realize any money coming in from that?
We have the tank right now, we're assessing that. There may be an opportunity that the township can reuse the tank. Correct, Reggie?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's stored down there.
There was an
So
idea
you
to
have
sell
you
it.
have plans for that tank?
We might be able to use it for water, we'll see.
Okay.
If we don't, within a year, if we don't, then.
Sell it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes. Go.
Yeah, one more thought about the Birch Run Road crossover. There's a lot of stuff that's also come down and is filling in my overflow there again. And also that underpass that used to work, doesn't work anymore. It works a little bit, it kind of percolates through, but now with all the sediment that's in there, if you can come with a backhoe and clean it out again, put a big rock pile in so the water can go back to the rock pile, that would be a big help, I think, without hitting my plant, hopefully.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments? No?
I'd like to take this moment to thank George Dutchinos for coming aboard, working with us. It's been a pleasure. He's been great counsel, and can't say enough.
I second that. It's very helpful to have you. All right, I think that's it, maybe?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
2020.
You're a lucky man.
He'll be back.
Glad to hear from everybody.
John's back, he can't stay away.
That's true.
Well, that's not-
Oh, has Sarah been, oh, she can't, so January and sign on
Unless you are for signing.
Yeah, to get, start paperwork for her to be able to sign.
Oh, we can start it. We've already started.
All right.
Yep.
Maybe you'll like
Really affects people. No, you went to come and answer Sarah questions. Asked her. Are you taking George out drinking now? Yes. Good.